Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we're going to take a look at the 2024 Jeep Wrangler. This is the Rubicon 4xE, finished off in silver zenith. It has an MSRP of $76,000. Powering the 4xE is a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine paired to the 8-speed automatic transmission. This pumps out 375 horsepower, 470 pound-feet of torque. That power is sent through the 4-wheel drive system. This weighs in right around 5,200 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. Top speed is 122 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 17.2 gallons. You'll expect to see around 49 miles per gallon combined between city and highway. And it also has a total range of 22 miles on just the EV system alone. Now this also has a wheelbase of 118.4 inches. Its overall length is 188.4. It has a width of 73.9 and a height of 73.5 inches. As we move on to the exterior styling now for the all-new Wrangler, let's start off front with the steel front bumper. This is something that comes on all of the Rubicons, and it's definitely a great added touch. Within this bumper as well are the fog lights. You can also remove these end caps, so if you need a little bit better of an approach angle, which it already has a very good approach angle, you can remove those pieces if needed to have more of that stubby style front bumper. Now from the factory, you can also get an 8,000-pound winch. This has blue tow hooks up front too. The blue is indicating that this is the 4xE, which you will also see on the hood graphic too. Now this also has the traditional style for the grille, including a forward-facing camera. So when you hit the trails like we did with this model, you have a lot better visibility. This also has LED headlights, DRLs, and turn signals. There's skid plates underneath as well. And then for the rest of this hood, there are actual functional vents, heat extraction vents on both sides. And then those bump stops right in the middle are for the windshield. You can actually fold the windshield down on the Wranglers. You can rest it right on there, so that way it's not touching the hood, of course. I don't think very many people do that, but this is the hinge right there where it will pivot, so you do have to remove the wiper blades in order to do that. And then as we work our way to the side, this has a set of 17-inch wheels. Tires are a little bit dirty from our adventure yesterday, so be sure to check out that separate video. And we also have the really cool iconic Jeep badge, which is a really nice touch. This has wide fender flares up front too. Rubicon is also spelled out on the side of that hood. There's the trail rated 4x4 badge. From the factory, you can also get the rock sliders, which is definitely a must. And this particular model has the $3,200 My Sky roof. I think this is the best roof option that you can get for the Wrangler, because with the push of a button, you can easily retract that and put it back. And with the Sky roof, that allows you to pop out these panels on the side. So realistically, you don't even have to remove the roof. If you have the doors off, with those off and the roof back, it makes it that much more practical than the hardtop. Soft top would be kind of identical in a sense, but of course you can take the doors off, which is pretty easy process to do. And then in back, we have the full-size spare with the backup camera, LED taillights, steel rear bumper. We have all of the parking sensors, and then this can tow right around 3,500 pounds. Now this also has remote start. It might be hard to hear because it does start up in the EV setting. So if we lock it and double tap this button, I think it just, there we go. It just fired up. It's in the EV mode, so you won't hear it. You can double tap that to shut it back off. Now what I like about the cargo space is that you can actually lock and unlock it from this handle. So that's very convenient. So with the gate opened up, we can manually lift the glass up. It gives you a lot of space to get into the back, which is nice. Now with the My Sky roof, it does provide you with this bag. That is for the panels on both sides. So you simply just detach both of those on both sides there, and then you can place them in those bags. So that way you can bring them with you, have the roof open like it is, and you get that top-down experience. Now underneath the floor, this is actually the charging cable for the 4xE system. If you remove this, you have a good amount of space where you could place some items in there. But for now, that is where that's located. And then all the bolts for the roof, the windshield, even the door hinges can fit back here. So that way you don't lose them. You have a good amount of space. If this bag was out of the way, of course, that'd give you a little bit more room, and you can fold the seats down. Now there is a little bit of a step up to the back seats, but you can still put in a lot of items. This has the Alpine system. There's a 12 volt on one side. So for an SUV, it's still pretty practical with the amount of space that is offered. Now, as we work our way to the back seats, door panel, it's pretty simple since you can take the door off, of course. So you have the grab handle along with the grab handle to take the door off. A little bit of storage in the lower section, release handle, and then for the hinge here or the electronics, you can disconnect them and then remove a few bolts to take the door off. And then these back seats have a nice design to them. They are finished off in leather with all the blue stitching, which is cool. 4xE is also down on the side. And at 5'10", I have a good amount of space. There's storage pockets behind both front seats. We have the air vents, window controls, and some auxiliaries, and even storage space down below. Now again, at 5'10", with the roof open, of course I have plenty of headroom, but with it closed, I still have a good bit of headroom. These seats sit pretty high up, but it's comfortable in the back. So you could definitely ride around in the back. Now right in the middle, we do have the armrest along with 2 cup holders when you need to use those. And then what I love about the Wrangler is just how open feeling it is. With those massive windows, there is really no issues with visibility or with lighting. It is so open in the back. Definitely makes it enjoyable to be in. Now for the front door panel, you do get electronics like the window adjustments, lock and unlock, and then a lot more storage space. And of course, the same hinge there that you can release to take the door off. And then the leather works its way to the front seats with Rubicon right in the middle. For the 24-year model, both front seats are power operated, which is really cool. And this model also has the factory all-weather floor mats. As you can tell, we definitely used them yesterday off the pavement. The steering wheel is completely covered in solid leather with more of the blue stitching. On this right side, there's cruise and even adaptive cruise control settings. On the back side, there is volume and tuning, so those are still retained on each side. We have Bluetooth and voice commands, and all of these arrows are for the gauge cluster. So let's fire this back up. Like I said, it will be in EV mode right now, so you won't hear the engine until we either put it into gear or adjust the setting, which I'll show. But for the gauge cluster, on the left side is the tach and the engine temperature. Fuel levels on the right side, along with the power and charge. So for the EV system, you can see how much power you're using. When you're braking, you can see the amount of charge that is going back to the battery. And then right in the middle, currently it's showing the miles per hour. Average fuel economy is on the left side. Right side shows you 2 different ranges. We currently have 17 miles or 67% for the EV, and then we have 78 miles for the gas. So combined, we have 95 miles to go. And then by using those buttons on the left side, let's scroll down to vehicle info, where you can go through a lot of vitals, just depending on what you'd like to see, TPMS, and all of that. There's also off-road, so you can monitor your sway bar if that's connected or not, and there's the pitch and roll. There's driver assistance, even your energy economy. You have the hybrid information, so you can monitor the battery and the rest of that info. There's trip information, even your audio, any messages, and then screen setup. In screen setup, you can actually configure what you would like to see on the left or the right, including the upper left for the compass. You can look at the battery or the percentage for the battery and just customize this the way that you would like to. So just depending on what you'd like to see. And then we are back to the speedometer. Now over on the left side, there's the headlight adjustments along with the fog lights, dimmer switch for the gauges, even the fuel cap release, and then the 3 different driving modes. Hybrid is going to utilize gas and the EV system. We have purely electric, so that's 17 miles that I mentioned. And then you also have an e-save. So this is going to utilize the battery and save it. The engine just turned on because I pushed on that, so it is not going to use the battery. So it's really cool just depending on how you want to drive this. Now we have a speaker up on the dash, a little bit of storage space on both sides. Engine just shut off since we are idling, which is neat to see. And then for the all-new infotainment system, on this left side, these are all of the presets. So if we go to home, this is the split screen right now with navigation and music on that one side. And then you can swipe over, you can set all of these shortcuts. As I just accidentally pushed on the forward-facing camera, we have the backup camera there, forward-facing camera, of course, you can even clean them. But you have all these shortcuts, pitch and roll on that one side there. And then on the left side, media along with comfort. So that puts you to your heated seats. You have all the climate adjustments that you can turn on and off with fan speed and all of that info. There's the navigation to pull up in full screen. You have your phone when you would like to pair that. If you go into vehicle now, let's start off with e-hybrid. So you can go to this far left tab where this will show your power flow. You can look at your driving history. So basically just how you've been driving and where the power is being sent, what you're using. You have different schedules to charge and keep track of, and then your e-save, which you can configure that you'd like to see. There's also the dashboard too, so we can go into the off-road pages where you can look at your sway bar disconnect along with your front and rear axle lock, steering angle too, different accessory gauges that you can monitor along with your pitch and roll, and then you can easily pull up that camera system again. If we go back to this setting here, we can go to our trail recordings. So that way you can see where you've been and just keep track of all that info, which is kind of neat. There's an adventure guides too. And then the last tab over on this left side is for all of these apps and icons, like your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You can go into a lot of different settings here, just depending on what you would like to see. I think it's a really good system, makes it look much more updated, and it fits well within this dash. Now underneath that, there's 2 air vents, and then we have power and volume for the radio, tuning, fan speed right in the middle, heated seats, heated steering wheel controls, temperature adjustments, and all of the recert controls. Underneath that, you can mute the audio. We have the regenerative braking. So being a hybrid, of course, we have that technology to further help charge the brakes. There's traction control. You can shut that upper screen off if you would like to. Even a downhill assist control, which we did use. Now, what's cool about this system is if you put the vehicle into the manual setting, you can actually control the speed of that downhill ascent, which is really nice to have. There's the parking sensors and then a 12 volt. This is how you can plug in your phone. So we have all of those auxiliaries. All of the window controls are right in the middle. There's even some more auxiliaries where you could attach like the winch up front, exterior lights, anything that you may have aftermarket, you have a nice spot to hook them up to. This has the front and rear locker. You can do the rear only or the front and the rear. There's an off-road setting and the sway bar disconnect. And then to put this into reverse, we'll pull that back once where you have the backup camera and then the manual setting. So you can use this to shift while you're on road or for that downhill assist control. And then we even have the selector to go between 2 high, 4 high auto and 4 high part-time, and then 4 low just by moving that control. Now there's 2 cup holders with a little bit of space. You could place your phone. We have the manual parking brake, and then there's actually 2 compartments in this center armrest. We have the smaller one up top where we have all of the tools required to remove the doors, and then we have a little bit more with an auxiliary down below. Now on the passenger side, there's the glove box with a good amount of space, along with the grab handle. And then as you can tell with the roof all the way opened, it goes to behind the headrest in the back seat. So you pretty much have the roof off with that back. Up top, you can just push on the auto button and that will quickly retract. You can actually do this while moving as well. So you can be out on the highway and be able to do this. So if it starts to rain, you don't even have to pull over to stop, which I think is a really cool option. It's pricey, but it's definitely worth it. As we set up now behind the wheel for this Wrangler 4xE, like I mentioned earlier, we're at $76,000 for this 4xE. That is a lot of money for a Jeep. It's a lot of money for any vehicle, really. However, in this price bracket and the type of SUV that this is, you don't have too many competitors. There's the Ford Bronco, which is the closest. I would say maybe the Toyota 4Runner. A little bit different, of course, but it's kind of in that same design of SUV. A little bit different, though. So Ford Bronco is its main competitor. You can still get in that price range with a Ford Bronco as well. So it's not abnormal. The 392 is more expensive than this. The Ford Bronco Raptor is even more expensive than this. So it's not the highest trim level, but it's the only model that gives you this hybrid system. So if you're looking for that, you can't go anywhere else. You need to get the 4xE to get that platform and drivetrain. I will say, I think it's a really cool design. So if I have it in the hybrid setting right now, that utilizes both the electric system and the gas. And we got a good bit of power. So 470 pound-feet of torque is not sluggish by any means. So if you're someone who just hates 4 cylinders in general, these are numbers that are higher than some V6 models, even close to V8 territory. So we're getting some smaller, more fuel efficient motors, and also more power. Now from a stop, I'm gonna put it in electric. We have about 14 miles on the range, and this is full throttle, so pedal to the floor. And just the electric setting. Not all that bad, which is kind of cool. And then the last one is the e-save. So you can save the battery for later use, and you're just using the gas like a regular vehicle. So I think the technology is very cool. We took this off-road. We used a combo of hybrid and electric. Mainly at those slower speeds, we were in electric, so it was a lot more peaceful. You didn't have any engine fumes. It was just really cool to crawl on rocks and not hear a loud engine. Just hear being in nature, crawling over rocks, and having fun off-road. So I think it's very, very beneficial for that price tag. It's steep, but it's not out of the norm with other vehicles that are going to be that expensive. It's just you're getting something you can take the doors off, you can take the roof off, and we do have some options on this one that of course bring up that price tag. Now for $76,000, this still rides like a Jeep. It has that Jeep sway to it, which I'm not going to knock because that's kind of what you expect with this. I owned a Wrangler, so I know. It is a little bit, it's not like the Ford Bronco, which is much better on-road. This can be better off-road with a solid front axle. You get more ground clearance with an independent front suspension on the Bronco. So there's trade-offs, of course, to any vehicle. It's mainly what you prefer. It has that swaying to it for on-road performance. Take it as however you want. It's not deterring people from buying it, of course. It's just something to point out for 76 grand. Maybe there can be some more suspension components to help make it ride a little bit smoother than what it does. But aside from that, it's nice out on the road. I've put almost 3 tanks of gas through this, and it rides nice, even though, you know, it has some of that Jeep lifestyle to it. And we'll pop it over to the manual setting now from second gear. Here we go. I will say, this is a quick 4-cylinder. For its weight, over 5,000 pounds, this is quick. There's no doubt about it. It has plenty of power to get up and move. So if you want something that is quick, it's again a perfect option to go with. And let's talk about wind noise real quick. Since we have the My Sky roof, it's definitely something that you hear. There's no getting around having wind noise in the Jeep, having wind noise in a Ford Bronco. It's just a part of that, being able to take everything off. Not quite as insulated as the 4Runner, that is of course all solid, but you don't have a lot of wind noise. I mean, obviously it depends on the day and what the weather is like, but it's significantly louder than some other vehicles. And again, that's not going to deter people from buying it. If this is something that you want, you love the doors coming off, the roof coming off, you just want that open experience from an SUV like this, it's not going to deter you from buying this. Like I said, I owned one. It's very cool to be able to do all of that and have this kind of vehicle. And you can get a look at the new infotainment system from this angle. Very user-friendly, like I mentioned. It's a nice setup. It's a very comfortable seating position too. With the armrest right here, we have the armrest on the door panel. You sit very high up, which is nice. And with the steep rake of this windshield, you have pretty much no visibility issues. I already showed over the left and right shoulder. It's so open in here. It's very easy to drive because of that. But for the 2024 Jeep Wrangler 4xE, it's a really good option. If you're willing to spend that much for a Jeep, I would at least get one that had all the lockers and the off-road performance. But if you want this hybrid system, I think it's a really good option to go with. You get really good MPG, you get the drive modes, which is awesome, and you get that Jeep life, just a little bit more fuel efficient, which is awesome to see. But that is going to wrap it up for the all-new 2024 Jeep Wrangler 4xE. If you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you give it a huge thumbs up and consider smashing that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on our daily uploads. And I will see you all in the next video.